If you want your personal brand to go from generic and boring to this, you are at the right place. Today I invited Gosha, creative director and founder of the 37 agency. He spent the past 12 months analyzing the most successful aesthetic personal brand while building his own YouTube channel to 15,000 subscribers. He shares with us his 3-step blueprint to build a personal brand that actually stands out. In this video you will learn why your brand starts with a Pinterest board, how to match your content budget with your aesthetic goals, and how to create high quality content that positions yourself as an authority in your field. Let's dive in. Well, Gosha, as I was telling you just before, I'm really excited for this podcast. I've been watching probably 70 to 80% of your video on YouTube. I think I dare anyone after this video, of course, to go on Gosha's YouTube channel, watch one video and not watch another one because you're really good at it. Your content is beautifully made. I really like what you talk about, and I'm sure you will have a lot of things to teach people in this podcast. So yeah, again, I'm really excited to have you here.
I appreciate it a lot, and thank you for having me on. And yeah, maybe 70 to 80% means a lot. I meet people who watch 50% of the videos, and it's already puts a smile on my face. So I'm really happy to hear that, and thank you once again.
Let's start by the basics. Why should I start a personal brand in 2025?
Uh, if you want to earn, I think the answer is there's this complicated and a simple answer. And if I just start with the simple answer, if you want to earn money online and have it something that is, and have it be a structure and a stream and a flow that isn't a one-off, then I see no reason why you shouldn't be investing in your personal brand. Specifically, why I talk about consistency and flow and not it being a one-off is because the personal brand sticks to specifically your name, your face most of the time, your persona or avatar, whatever you put forward, right? And if you're simply focused on building a brand around a product or a company, a lot of the time it goes up and then it comes down. Very rarely do we see smaller or medium-sized businesses focused or founders building the brand, the company brand, and then that's staying for a very, very long time and being seated with a community or an audience and not going away. It's usually some of the bigger companies we're talking, like the Teslas or the Apples, that allow the founders to profit and reap off the personal gains that it gives them in terms of the image. But in terms of medium and small sized businesses, I really think the only way to stay recognizable and make money on social media is by building a personal brand rather than focusing entirely on the business. Now, I think I answered the question there with a little bit of nuance, like one versus the other. I think if you don't build a brand at all, and you're just on the internet consuming and not producing anything, then I think it's just you're going to lose money rather than have the potential to make money, which is no problem. There's plenty of people that run businesses without building a personal brand. But yeah, I don't think this conversation's about that, obviously.
Well, I mean, there is a lot of example about what you just said because you're often quoting or taking as an example few person on your channel, Daniel Dalen, George Eaton, Adi, like a lot of people. Yeah. And I think they are really good example of that. So they are building their brand around their personal brand. And I think that's what you were talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly. And they can easily make products afterwards that have their own naming, that have their own imagery, branding, visuals, whatever it may be. But really, at the end of the day, if we're being really truly honest, the product and those sub-brands are still remembered as made by Ollie, made by Daniel, made by Jamie, or whoever it may be. There's rare cases. George is a very good example, and I talked George just a few days ago, where the brand becomes so big that it coincides with the name of the founder. And sometimes maybe even the brand builds up the founder. But in George's case, it was one of those conversations of he built it in public. He built it very openly, and so whenever Represent or whatever 247 took off, obviously George's name took off. So it just gives you more options. It gives you more possibility to connect with people and for them to remember you rather than remembering the product.
So now we covered why we should start a personal brand. Now, can you maybe explain what is an aesthetic personal brand, and with some example?
Yes. Aesthetic personal brand. I think first, before we go like super deep into it, I do want to say like aesthetic, because of what Pinterest used to have a very limited meaning, and people would usually think like old money aesthetics or something similar, like luxury aesthetics. So it had a very like closed off meaning and a very almost over time negative and snobby vibe to it. Now, through me and through other creators, I think there's a little bit more of this renaissance of the word aesthetic, to where it's just active thinking about what your image is, what your aesthetic is, and what you represent in terms of objects, visuals, textures, colors, what packages you in regards as a person, as a business, as a company, as a creator. So let's start there. Want to get that out of the way real quick first. The second part is in terms of what makes a good aesthetic. I think this is all personal opinion because it could vary on niche, it could vary on industry. I think it starts with, you have to have high standards within your own niche. So for example, I'll give my channel as an example. When I started YouTube, I right away knew, I started with these vlogs and they were quite flimsy. They were inspired by Daniel, and I would just pick up the Osmo and I had a good editor and I would put it on the car, I would put it up in the corner. So in abstraction, it looked cool, right? But then I transitioned to these sit down talking head videos because I thought, I'm a creative director. Let me not make an actor of myself. Let me talk about things that I know more about, and things that I can actually give value to. But I knew I can't compete with these other creative directors that have these big studios, that have these awesome backgrounds and whatnot. And I just put in mind, like, for me to be an aesthetic creative director that is above, let's say, level 1, whatever these levels may be in terms of quality, what do I need to have? And right away, I thought I need to have good audio. I need to be connected to the viewer in terms of even what my audio setup is. And people hear it and they think it's funny. And I said, I was telling my editor, I'm not starting the sit down videos until I have this microphone, because this microphone connects to people on a mental and visual and audio level in terms of just having similarity, having some sort of experience of profession. They see it on Joe Rogan, they see it on these top podcasts, and it goes a long way for them. And that connection definitely, I think, went a long way. The other thing was having a good camera. So I had the Osmo, and then I bought the Sony, and I realized people need to see multiple angles. People need to see very high quality and good quality. And so the basic premise was there needed to be a standard that people could understand was being followed, and that's the entry barrier. So okay, people saw there is enough quality for me to pay attention to for the first 30 seconds. And again, that started with the visuals and the audio. Then level 2 became for us was cinematic editing with both music and visuals that we use from other creators that we mentioned in our videos. That was the second part. I invested, now tens of thousands of dollars into editing the videos. And that was just by knowing that the editing can't be subpar. It can't just be like taking clips from others. It needs to be, we have to have our own typography. Typography has to evolve in videos. People have to, the videos have to flow with the music. Sometimes the audio cuts in and cuts out. There has to be timely black screens. So I wanted to give people an experience that was elevated. So, okay, we have the first standard, then we have the elevated experience. And then the third level was the storytelling, the narratives. And that was me just spending a lot on scripting the videos. And how does this all go back to aesthetic? It's building certain packages about yourself, or certain, let's say, levels of yourself and your personal brand in a way that coincides one with the other. And again, I usually see it with you build a standard, you have an elevated standard, if you want to call it, you have an elevated level, and then you have the third one, which really sets you apart. And for me, that was the scripting of the videos, that was the video topics, that was connecting with entrepreneurs such as yourself, where I was giving light to entrepreneurs that weren't having as much mainstream coverage. I wasn't talking about, let's say, the Alex Hormozis or Steve Jobs that were that much more. I was talking about the Marcus Millionis, the George Heedens, the Daniel Dalens. Although they're popular, they're certainly not, at the top of the hierarchy for people to cover. That was an example on myself. Hopefully, I covered it a little bit in terms of aesthetic.
You did. And obviously for you, it took a long time, right? You were starting with your vlog. You probably had a lot of iteration until coming to where you are now, which is like aesthetic content. Your Instagram feed is also really cool to watch. Your video are really beautifully made. And if today I was coming to you to work with you, I have no following, I want to start an aesthetic personal brand from scratch, I don't even know myself what I really want, what is the framework that you will use on me step by step to actually build this personal brand?
Yeah, it's an amazing question. And actually, you've already taken step one. You've started consuming content that scales your taste and scales your creativity. What I mean by that is most people do not believe that they can be their own creative director or be ultimately the most creative person in their life. And I realized this when I was working with a lot of automotive and industrial businesses. I would work with older gentlemen that would say, "You're the creative here," or "I'm not creative at all." And I was just telling them, like, how could I be the most creative person in the room when I don't know your product as much as you do, even closely, because there's a lot of technical parts. And so over time, I started having these conversations with people and trying to understand, how do I make them feel as creative as me in regards to a specific topic, and starting a social media page, whether it be in an extraordinary niche or a YouTube channel, and so forth. And that all started with level one. It's consuming content that inspires you and understanding what inspires you the most in that specific content. I think I would start there. So I would send you reference boards. I would say, what connects with you most? What content do you consume? We would pinpoint a very specific list of creators that you can watch just infinitely. You can consume their entire library of content and be able to say, yes, this guy inspires me, or this girl inspires me. And then again, we would break down keywords, we would break down specific visuals of why certain things go a long way for you specifically. And then we look at those creators and we understand, does it connect with you the same way that it connects with other people? Let's take, for example, a very popular figure, sometimes more or less has some controversy, but that's Iman. And I respect Iman a lot for what he does in terms of his social media image, because he puts a very heavy thought into it. And some people see him and they think, okay, this guy for me represents motivation, he represents drive, he represents ambition as a young entrepreneur. And for other people, it might represent luxury or money or travel. And you have to have these two different sides and understand that one part of his audience might be 40% of his 40% towards those keywords, and the other 40% might be towards those keywords. So the point is, there has to be a lot of transparency and honesty within yourself, what really truly encapsulates people and drives them. Once you scale your taste a little bit and understand what it is that people pick up on, then you have to sit down by yourself, open up Miro or open up Figma or Notion or wherever you want to keep your mood boards or vision boards, and imagine what your perfect feed or what your perfect aesthetic would be without your own images, right? So that's going on platforms like Pinterest and collecting source imagery and saying, okay, if I was to post about sports, this is how I would want my sports content to look like. If I was to post about business, this is how my business content would look like. And then you collect like so many of these mood boards. But some of my clients that come in and work with me on a first-time basis, we go through 20 mood boards before they even start posting any of the content that is shown on those mood boards. And And you go through these mood boards, and then at a certain moment you realize, okay, this was a 1 day hype thing for me. This I really like. This is my structure. And then you understand where it is that you want to land. Then the third step would be understanding production quality. What can you invest in regards to your budget, and what can your social media look like in quantity and quality? A lot of people say, "Oh, I want to go and do what Alex Hormozy does because he sits in a flannel and jorts, and it's so easy to do what he does because he just reads his tweets." But the reality is, he has a camera, 3 cameras in the room. He has a specific background. He has multiple editors editing. He has all the scripts written out ahead of time by his editing team. So you can't do that. Like a starting creator could never replicate that in how it is. But some of the more creative and some of the more aesthetic, what we call them at least, creators, often have the more easier setups that are easier to replicate. You just have to understand, okay, maybe their editor's $500 a month salary, and there's a music subscription, and there's a camera, the Osmo, maybe that's another $400. Okay, in under $600-700 a month, I can create however many reels and however many YouTube videos and posts on Instagram. So it needs to connect. Your mood board needs to connect to actual budget investments that you can make, and I would say that's the hardest conversation, because people need to really be humbled in a good way and realize that there's often more money, but also more investment in terms of emotion and time that goes into social media. That's where I would start. Usually, the first 3 steps.
And I think this is funny, the last step, because, for example, a lot of people want to do Daniel Dalen content, but to make Daniel Dalen content, you need to take planes, you need to travel a lot, you need to be in like exotic countries. This is not everyone who can do that. So that's when I think you say that your budget has to match the content you want to build, right?
Oh, 1000%. It's absolutely true. It's beyond. When I sometimes go to people and I tell them the reason a certain thumbnail might work because it was in a first class of a plane, they think that they might connect right away. Oh, I need to be flying first class and taking photos in first class to have successful thumbnails. So one side, yes, there is that part of people connect with luxury, people connect with wealth, and sometimes the people that can't afford it don't have that unique selling point, so they need to go after other criteria that makes them stand out. But sometimes people blindly follow it. They blindly follow, oh, I have to have a Go Yard laptop bag, or I have to have a Rimowa phone case, and I have to be flying first class, and I'll take a picture of that and post it on Instagram and run an ad on it, and boom, I've sold $10,000 worth of courses in a day. It never works that way. And it works like that for the people that tell you it works like that. It works like that for the people that sell you the idea it works like that. And then the 99%, the other that go and do it, it doesn't. But again, I don't want to go into talking about the critique here, but you're totally right in the fact that sometimes things convert because of wealth, and usually it's very rarely, but we are oversaturated in thinking that it will work for everyone.
Yeah, and I think to finish on this topic, like there is like Daniel Dalen, who is like documenting his work, documenting like the behind the scene of his work, but it takes a lot of money to do what he does. But there is other people who are doing also really aesthetic content on Instagram, while they have this 12 square meter room and they film in every corner of it. They have this really cool music on that. They put just a sentence like "Pov, me against me" or something like that, and every day they post that. It looks also really aesthetic, but then the budget is really low because it's only your bedroom filming yourself. So I think that's when you put the bar in the budget and what you can do, right?
Yeah, the really interesting thing with short form is you can compete with creators that have studios or that are Hollywood-esque creators, and short form is it's a different beast, let's say, because I think with short form you can have very high numbers, but you can have a very dissolved audience in regards to your community. So I've worked with entrepreneurs that have tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of followers on their Instagram pages, but when you go to their other social media or when they release their products, the activity is very low. I mean, it's extremely low, and usually that's because people are just either scrolling for very quick value or entertainment on platforms like Instagram and specifically Reels. But let's not go into the negatives. Let's again highlight the positive thing you said. You can compete with the biggest creators by starting creating pretty simple content on short form, as long as you understand the trends and the taste. And obviously people that can create an aesthetic video in a 12 by 12 room, but have the right soundtrack, they can win, and certainly win a big audience, and 500,000 views overnight, 5 million views overnight. So definitely.
100%. Well, let's get back to the beginning. So we start to work together. We go through the self-audit, right? Which is like finding my keyword and building my mood board. Can you explain a little bit more like what we will do at that time? Because I feel like this is something pretty hard to do, because this is something that you have to know about yourself. This is also something that humbled you, as you say, because there is this budget limit and everything. So how do we know, like, if I work with you, how do we know what I really want to do and what I have to do with the keyword, mood board, and everything?
Yeah, I think it is a tough, it's something that you grow into understanding how to do. Again, I want to highlight this specific answer with there needs to be self reflection and transparency for why other people like the pages of other people before you start building your keyword list or your visual list. Sometimes it's just because the other person is attractive, whether it be a man or a woman. Sometimes it's because the people like the way a specific person talks, or the way they dress, or, as you said, the room they're in, or the plane they fly in. So again, it all starts with transparency. And then you almost have to brutally ask yourself, what is it that can make me be liked by a majority of the audience that sees me? Or on the other hand, if maybe you want to be controversial and less aesthetic, what is it that pisses off the audience more and creates conversation and creates dialogue? But I think we can go there into more in a conversation about virality rather than aesthetics. So yeah, what makes me attractive to most of the audience that comes in terms of new audience? And once you realize that, let's say, for example, you're a good-looking guy or you're fit, right? You're fit, but you're an entrepreneur. So maybe you start realizing, is there entrepreneurs that build their audience by looking good, by having some sort of conversation about fitness or a healthy lifestyle? You know, there's so many entrepreneurs that go and drink every night because of the stress in their business. So you just ask simple questions and pinpoint those scenarios and almost imagine these people in your audience before even seeing them. And it's okay, you're fit, you go and look up, I don't know, fitness aesthetics on Pinterest. And you see these different visuals. You'll see a lot of people that are actually in the gym. You'll see a lot of people that are actually out there running or eating their fitness bowls or in their healthy matcha drinks or whatever it may be. And then you might go on their actual profiles and see, do they cross-post anything in regards to specifically, I don't know, them working on the business or them working on their projects where they're not in the gym or they're not running. And then you go deeper and deeper into these rabbit holes of what is it that, what content overlaps the most with fitness and entrepreneurship. And you again might look up entrepreneur aesthetics and see where is there a middle. And that will slowly build an understanding of what your content might look like in regards to your specific interests and specifically your advantages to what you have and how you can attract people.
So you have to be a consumer before being a creator. You have to consume in a certain way, like in a smart way, that you are looking for something and not only scrolling just to scroll, but you have to, consume before create.
I wouldn't even say like consume in a smart way. Like the amount of creative directors and creatives I know that get into these almost like depressive periods of consume before creating is it's crazy. I mean, like even myself, there's about 2 months ago, I went on a month of consumption without posting anything, but I came back with my best ideas and most motivation for what we can talk about. So consumption doesn't always have to be smart. You're right in the fact that to find your aesthetic, to find your personal brand, you have to take specific smart steps. But sometimes just have to go on YouTube and binge whatever recommendations give you, and not feel bad about it, but understand the different sides, understand which creators make the worst content in regards to quality and value, which ones make the best ones. And sometimes the best ones have 5,000 subscribers. And how are you going to find them if you don't take time to go down those rabbit holes on YouTube or Instagram or wherever it may be?
Just a last thing about keywords. Can you just give an example of keywords, maybe of one of your clients, or to help people visualize that?
Yeah, I mean, let's think of an extraordinary one that isn't so mainstream. Because I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. For a lot of entrepreneurs, they're pretty standard keywords. Okay, let's think. Let me paint the image for you. Let's think of a content creator who has an AI agency. He makes AI agents, for example, and he posts content about how to leverage AI for your business. His keyword list, like to break it down, has zero mention of AI creators, technology, SaaS. So none of those keywords go into his understanding of what his visuals might be. He is extremely focused on being non-technical. His aesthetic is a non-geeky, non-nerdy AI agency entrepreneur. So his keywords would include something like Bali, or entrepreneur in Bali, or entrepreneur in Spain, or European summer. I'm getting abstract here in terms of his lifestyle side, right? In regards to his actual work side, it will be digital nomad. It will be remote setups. It will be, I mean, these things that you can just imagine the objects and imagine the actual physical spaces, and maybe it's fashion decisions as well. But there's zero and very, very few mention of things like Chat GPT or I don't know, technical 5 monitor setups or whatever it may be. Hopefully I painted the picture for you there in terms of what the actual output can be from the entrepreneur. Actually, I can just give you very specifically who one of the inspirations is. It's Marc Lou, if I remember his name correctly. He's one of the bigger inspirations for this entrepreneur in regards to into what he's building and how his image will be reflected. And actually, I thought of the fit entrepreneur as well. That wasn't meant to be a coincidence, or that's a coincidence. That wasn't meant to be Marc Lou as well.
Maybe you will watch this video. I know him personally because, well, we met and I did an interview with him because he doesn't live far from me and he's also French. I just want to zoom on something you say, like you don't talk about AI because you don't need it, right?
Yeah, so if we use the Marc Lou example, but because he's in a niche audience, maybe not everyone in your audience will know him. There's creators that make hundreds of thousands of dollars and build huge audiences selling, let's say, technological, very tech-heavy products, very niche products, but they don't go into the detail of these products more than just the surface level. They don't even, sometimes they don't have CTAs about these products at all. Simply because, and this is the most important part about aesthetics and really social media and building a personal brand, people, I would say, people used to only, or let's say this, people buy lifestyle. They buy what they see your lifestyle and they want to buy what you have. Very rarely will people buy a product and think, okay, this product will do this for me and therefore no, they don't think about what the product will do. They will think about after they buy your product, what the outcome in their life will be. They very rarely will just think, okay, let me just buy this AI agent so I can have cool content. No, they think, I'm going to buy this AI agent. They will write all my content. They will make my job easier. They'll allow me to make 100 videos a day. And I'm going to get rich in a month because I have 1,000 videos being posted in a day. And I'm going to fly first. Whatever. The imagination goes further than step 1 and 2, right? It goes all the way to step 10 most of the time. Marc Lou is a very good example of that because he seemingly has a very nice wife and he looks good and he goes and travels into all these different places. People watch it for that, for wanting to understand that I can just work on my MacBook Pro and work in a very focused few hours in a day, and then I can just go and do anything in the world in any way I want. And I don't have to be sitting like a nerd in front of 10 monitors and writing code here and writing code there and so on and so forth. That's the lifestyle that is being sold there. I say nerd not in a negative way, but rather to paint an image for people. And the second part that I said after people buy the lifestyle is now people are also buying from creators, myself, inspiration. So I say, and I'm trying to coin the phrase, the quote, inspiration is the product. And if you treat your social media before you have a bunch of these different actual products, physical ones, as inspiration will be the product for my audience, then you can go a very, very long way because people will, because you'll actively create content that will inspire every single time rather than creating content that will just do numbers or that will sell a product or whatever it may be.
I feel like it validates one thing that I was thinking the other day is that actually your aesthetic lifestyle can be top of the funnel. And then if we take Marc Lou example, Twitter is mid-funnel because on Twitter he talks a lot about his work, what he do, what kind of tools he use every day. And then the bottom of the funnel is his newsletter when he talks exactly about what he does. So people are attracted to the lifestyle top funnel. Then they go to the newsletter or on Twitter to understand, okay, what this guy is actually doing to get this lifestyle. And then at the bottom of the funnel in the newsletter, they are ready to buy because they understand what he does. They understand how he makes money. So then they can copy what he does to have his lifestyle.
Very simply put, yes, it all makes sense. I would say with YouTube being top of the funnel, there is a little bit of, I think, a nuance that people have started glancing over because there is so many gurus talking about funnels nowadays. And the nuance that I'm talking about is, again, with using Marc Lou's example, but you can also use Daniel, you can use Iman Gaji, you can use, I mean, really anyone that creates similar content. When you show, I would say the top of the funnel is his lifestyle content in the YouTube. The middle of the funnel, or just the level under the top of the funnel, is the work content in YouTube. Often you'll see statistically, and I've seen so many of these YouTube graphs with clients, it's a lot of those work parts get skipped. And a lot of the time, people just stay for the lifestyle portion. Even if they know the entrepreneur for a specific product. So also being able to retain people and focusing on those work parts and making it entertaining is almost like content on its own. It seems like, yes, that's so obvious, but it almost has to be in a single format. You have to focus on entertaining and retaining an audience for completely two different topics. And that's where I would say if people are highly converted or retained on your work topics or your product topics within your videos, you're already winning. That's already like the middle of your funnel. And then let's say Twitter is his like bottom. By the time people reach his newsletter, I think most of the time they're buyers. Like, I'll be honest, like, I consume a lot of his Twitter. I watch his YouTube videos, but I wouldn't sign up to his newsletter because his technical topics, just like his products, don't affect me whatsoever. Like most of the time, I'm just not the right buyer. But I knew by the time I send him my email, like it's donezo. Like he'll have me paying somewhere. Actually, never mind. I am a consumer of his with the poop up product or whatever he made for the website. So I lied. but anyways, I think we need to break down the funnel more specifically now because people very easily throw out like nowadays like top, middle, and bottom, but the top and the middle can have so many layers that you need to focus on. And that's the cool thing about aesthetic, because if your aesthetic is very thought through, like it is with the greatest let's say social media entrepreneurs, then your middle, top, and lower, like all these three different parts of the funnel, they'll have their own separate three different parts of how you can visualize things for people. So you'll have like 9 different layers where the typical and average poster will have 3 or maybe 5 at most.
Style without story is empty. All aesthetic icons follow that transformation is the source of gravities. Without the transformation, any aesthetic is just cosplay or costume. How much do you think is important for someone with a personal brand today to actually build in public?
Can you build a big social media funnel and a big social media audience for your business by including your personal brand, but without building in public? Yes, 100%. I would say it's very possible, and so many people are doing it. And I actually might give a little bit of what I hope is a challenging answer for the audience. I think right now, building in public, the way building in public content is done for most of the new creators that I see and new entrepreneurs, it's a step back and a negative step back for their business rather than a positive. And this goes back to the conversation that I think so many entrepreneurs see the Daniel Dalens, they see the Marc Lou's, they see the Iman Gajis, and they think, okay, I'm just going to get a videographer in my trip in Dubai, and I'm going to get a cool editor, and I'm going to post 3 videos, and it's going to explode, and people are going to go and buy my product. And I would say from hearing the reviews and the comments on a lot of these clients who come in with these problems afterwards, they say, "Oh my gosh, people think I'm the same guy as everyone else, or they think I'm just copycatting Daniel." And I would say, well, in some way, didn't we all do it when we posted those first POV videos on our YouTube channels? I think the really important question needs to be is, do I have enough separation from other building and public creators? And if the answer is yes, in terms of aesthetic, in terms of product, in terms of quality, if the answer is yes, why am I not building in public? Most of the time the answer should be, well, there should be no reason. You should 100% be talking about your journey and posting about your journey. But it is within that separation from other creators, it is within those nuances and what drives you apart from their audiences and gives you your own community and audience is where where the answer really lies. Now, I could simply say, yes, you should 100% build in public, but I would be skimming over the fact that the competition right now is huge. Every other poster is posting POV or day in the life in their title, and you're entering this red sea of oversaturation. So I would say, give it a thought of what can separate you as a builder in public, as a public builder, whatever we want to say, and then go and start doing it 100% once you realize what sets you apart.
What is the format that you see now? Because you said that building in public will be oversaturated soon, and I really believe it as well, because when I open my YouTube and I see a POV, I just want to continue scrolling. What is the format that you see that is popping up right now, or that these kind of people that you analyze daily do?
I think you certainly still have possibility to stand out via cinematic video. If we take Daniel Dalen as an example, he has very cinematic video, but it's not the peak of content in terms of visuals. You can definitely do and go maybe one more step up. If you go too many steps up, people are just going to see and understand you have a studio team behind you, and it's not very audience friendly. It's not very built in public. It's more like a documentary that's staged and scripted. So maybe you can stand out with video. I've seen a few creators recently that pop up on my homepage, and I see a very good thumbnail, and then I see the video and I see, okay, this is this competes with Daniel and is maybe even a level above in terms of video. But after a few videos, it goes to my second point. The story and the cast in the videos is not strong enough. What Daniel really has going for himself is he has people around him that are like characters in a TV show that are sometimes getting even more focused than Daniel himself. I talk about this often in my videos, is you have to have a strong cast around you if you're building in public. You can't just be a one man, just like always on the camera and not showing and giving light to other people, because it makes you almost like a icon, which you're not yet, right? You're still building. So that's the second part where people can stand out, but you really need to just be living a great life and having great people around you. If you can willingly say, hey, pop up into my YouTube videos all the time, be part of my cast, and then they're actually interesting people. They're actually shown from different sides as people, as entrepreneurs, and so on and so forth. I think those are actually things that Daniel actively thinks about when it comes to creating his videos. That would, I think, so video, cinematics, whether it's through editing or through the actual visuals, although I think we're really close to the natural ceiling now. The second part is your cast, so the people in your videos. I would say that's the second part you can now stand out in. And third is, I think there's one more wave of packaging that is going to be one lucky, or a few lucky creators are going to get lucky with like POV, as Daniel has it in his thumbnail and his title. I think there's going to be one more tweak to the building in public title wave. After that, I think it's going to be properly saturated, and there's going to be no more of these like building it, like unique and clickable building in public packages. Yeah, there's plenty of examples of that. So I think if you're starting and you're going to start posting 100 videos 100 days in a row of building in public, you can try video, you can try having the people in your videos be very unique and very entertaining, or you can try a new, unique, special packaging format, whatever it may be. I don't have the idea. If I did, I'd probably go and do it. And that, I think, is the way you can now go and stand out as a public builder. Let's just say that. As a fourth, maybe as a bonus, a very high challenge in your videos. So the actual narrative in your video is about some sort of challenge, and it's very, very hard. One that if I was to do it, it would be like starting a new creative studio, let's say about a new part of a new product or a service in a creative studio, and reaching 5 million in a year. Something that's got to be so ambitious that people are like, okay, if he can do 5 million, I can do 500,000, or I can do 50,000. Teaching YouTubers how to shoot more cinematically, consulting service, 5 million profit in a year. And I literally record and post every single day. Like, it would have to be something so bizarro world, and has such a high investment for me. I think that would get tens of thousands of views, maybe even hundreds of thousands of views. But on the back end, you have to realize you're spending tens of thousands of dollars to get this content, to edit this content. So it's a big, big risk. Yeah, if you want to separate yourself, you have to take really big investment risks, or try those first three things that I mentioned.
Another topic, I discovered you not because of your face, but because of other people's face that I knew, like George Eaton, Adi Gillespie, Daniel Dalen. I saw them on your thumbnail, and it made me click. And that's something that you push in one of your videos, is to make a strong or fast-growing channel on YouTube. You should talk about other people. Is it something that you will still advise to someone to do that?
I think maybe you're the best viewer in my audience. Like, you pick up on all the most important lessons. Yes, it's the easiest. It's the easiest by far way to get ahead on YouTube and social media, is to highlight and find communities of those people that you're interested in and talk about them. I think that's the short form answer. Is it still relevant? Will I still continue to do it now that we're hitting the 15,000 subscriber mark? I will, yes, still continue to do it for a very, very long time. At this point in my journey, do I see a need to talk a little bit about me and join conversations like this and talk a little bit even deeper about my viewpoint? Yes, I think so, 100%. At some point, there has to be balance because people can't just forever hear you talk about other people. They need to get a little bit of your personality. They need to understand a little bit of your cast or your journey or what's behind the studio or whatever it might be. See a few more angles in your life, so to say. So you can't be behind sort of the microphone forever. That's of my opinion. But can you go and find viewers and new following just simply based on putting the face or the name of other creators and other personalities as part of your topic? Yes, you can, and you should 100% do it if you want to succeed faster and with more consistency in your videos. My least performing videos have always been, although I've been talking about other creators in them, they have been abstract in their packaging. So I made some sort of abstract package, but I was talking about an entrepreneur or their journey. It usually always performed way worse than the videos that had a obvious character that I was going to be talking about.
Now let's talk about a topic that I think a lot of people love. How do I make money with my personal brand? Because we talk about George Eaton, who has like a 9-figure-a-year business.
Yeah.
Daniel Dalen made, I think, 25 million in a year with his personal brand in revenue.
Yeah.
You yourself also made 5-figure since you started your YouTube channel. So what is the way to make money with that personal brand? Because I can get this audience to me, but how do I monetize?
Yeah. This is actively a question, like I'll be completely honest. If a viewer got to this point, like they can hear probably the most honest I've been on YouTube to this point. But this is a question I actively ask myself is how do you make money on the internet once you've gained an audience that doesn't put your audience down and that doesn't take more from the audience than you've given them. And usually creators say, well, oh, I've made 100 videos for them that has been cost free. I deserve to get something back, or I deserve to put up a product or something of sorts. But as fast as you gain an audience, you can lose it even faster. And if you look at all these entrepreneurs, let's take Daniel, right, with his recent drops and his recent products and the companies that he's made. There's a giant side of he reached 100,000 subscribers without having any product whatsoever, without having anything to sell you, without pitching anything. He would talk about his business, but without a call to action. And I think the cheat code is reach a following, reach a community that is so ingrained into your content. So the first step is building a very strong community that loves your content, loves what you're doing. And the second step is, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think I'm certainly leaning into that direction for doing it for myself, is ask the community, or not even ask them, wait until the community asks you to make products for them and to give them products that correlate with the message you spread or the aesthetic you've created or the lifestyle you sell them, and ask them for more. Ask them for more or ask them to ask for more content, for more products, for more collaborations, and so forth. If you start forcing yourself on an audience, you will make money. You will your funnels will convert. You will have high conversion, and as soon as it dries up, or as soon as you don't have that next viral hit video, or that next big video, or the next big post, you will say, wow, I should have treated these people like my close friends and a really, really close community, as if they're sitting in one office with me, rather than people that are, just buyers. And the reason I say this last part is because to make really unique products, and if you want to take Daniel as an example here, I'm sure his glasses are great, but there's tons of competitors. I mean, there's hundreds of competitors in his specific niche. I recently dropped a Notion template. I mean, there's thousands of competitors in that niche. And to really say that mine is best, or I put most thought into mine, or I put so much inspiration into mine, I mean, you never know. Like the next guy could have it be 10 times better just because he saw yours and he can easily make it 10 times better. So all that being said, I think it's once you have an audience, once you did those first things that we talked about, you'll really quickly find a way how to monetize it in that first wave. But I would say to make money in the long term, you need to wait for your community, if you really build that community, to ask you for more. Sometimes they'll ask you for more content and you can make that a paid thing. Sometimes they'll ask you, hey, what are those glasses you're wearing? Or what is that sweatshirt you're wearing? Or what are the, like, I don't know, what filter are you putting on your video? And you might get those hints. And you're like, okay, a lot of people are asking interest in these specific things. Let me go and integrate myself in those things and create that. Exactly what Daniel did. He was always wearing the glasses, right? People showed interest and that was part of his aesthetic. Like if you looked up Daniel Dalen aesthetic, I'm sure you'll see the glasses all the time, everywhere. And he just realized that and he's like, that's part of me. That's part of what inspires people to watch my content. Let me go and connect them with that inspiration a little bit. You said it yourself. It's what Nike does. It's what Adidas does. It's what Represent does. And many different companies out there.
I think you're totally right about that because there is few examples, but even myself, when I started Twitter, it was French content at the beginning. When I started Twitter, I didn't even know how I would monetize that audience until they actually asked. You know, I just did free content and they wanted to have paid content to learn more. So they actually asked me. And yeah, the same way you say Daniel Dalen, like, yeah, it was obvious. He had these sunglasses, these glasses, not sunglasses. Everyone was asking, like, well, where do you buy them? Well, why not do a product about it? So yeah, I think it's the smart way. And also, as you say, like, just take care of your audience because you cannot duplicate yourself. It's your personal brand, and that's not something you can erase and start over. So yeah, it's better to
Yeah.
be careful with that.
And I'll give you one super easy example. Whenever I made this Notion template, and I'm not saying this to press release it or make a sponsor thing out of it, but I dropped this. It's like $60, the Notion template. Whenever I've put it in the videos as an actual mini segment of like, hey guys, drop this product, like go ahead and buy it. I've gotten from those videos maybe like 5 sales, like from those call to actions in those videos, maybe 5 sales. And then I did one video where I had it up in the background and I showed that I was working on it. And that did 20x the sales that the actual integration did. People simply just said like, this guy's creative, like what's his creative process, and dove deeper into it. They didn't, it wasn't even a first step thing. They went like DM'd me, what is that you were using? And I was like, oh, I've been talking about it all the time. And it's making, yeah, again, making money, you need to be very almost humble in a way about it, in my personal opinion. Unless you know it's all about the money for you and you want to force yourself onto your audience. But I'm not a believer of that. I would never preach it.
Gosha, is there something I didn't ask you about personal brand, aesthetic, or anything else that I should have asked you?
No, I think we've covered most of it. One last thing I would say is don't listen to the memes or the snobs that say personal brand or aesthetic is this some sort of, it's for the influencers or it's for the athletes or it's for the megastars. I think everyone should have their own aesthetic. Everyone should have their own conscious thought about how they present themselves, how they come across to other people, not just on social media, but actually in their life. If you make a conscious thought of what t-shirt or what hat you're going to be wearing today, you can make a conscious thought of what Instagram story you'll be posting or how your post comes across. And I think, although we're in this specific niche, I think a very small part of the audience makes that thought consciously. And I want to urge people to do it a little bit more often because I think it can make a difference and actually make them casual social media posters and get them paid and build communities around them and have them meet more like-minded people because there's easier connections to be had and easier understanding of what a person is really, really interested in. Yeah.
Gosha, thank you really much for your time. I'm sure people will love this conversation because I think that you shared a lot of things that really will be helpful. I wish you the best with your agency 37. for everything you do. Continue doing your content. I will keep watching it anytime you release a video. And if you're watching it, I will probably tag you in the title or in the description. So just go on this profile, check the video, get lost, spend hours and hours watching Gosha, and you will not regret it.
Thank you so much, Florian, and I appreciate it a lot. I think I'm just at the start of my journey, and I'm super grateful that you can highlight me, because I think there could be another me, not to sound too braggy, but there's going to be another me that's going to watch this video, pick up the camera, and do something similar, and there's going to be another you that's going to talk to that person and inspire so many. So once again, thank you, and thank you for asking me such thoughtful questions, and I was super happy to be on. And if in the future you need me to be back on again, I'll be there.